Hello again, and welcome to Compelling Conversations. This is the podcast of Compel CEOs. I'm your host, Steve Ramerini. I am the founder and chief visionary officer of Compel. I'm very pleased to have as our guest on today's podcast, Carolyn Strauss. This is the fourth time we've had Carolyn in to speak to our groups, and every time she comes back with new and dynamic information. And just a little bit more about Carolyn. She is, in addition to being an experienced keynote speaker at national associations and business conventions really around the world, she's also a published author, having written 4 books. She's nationally recognized in the fashion industry. She's an image expert and is a former Ford model. And she comes to us from Denver, Colorado, where she's lived for the past 20 plus years. Carolyn believes that great leaders get great by studying and learning from other great leaders. She's spent her life working with the best in the business, whether it was on the Home Shopping Network, where she spent over 20 years as the CEO and on-air spokesperson for her company, the Carolyn Strauss Collection, which was a multi-million-dollar clothing company exclusively sold on HSN, or as a certified guide, a certified reinvention practitioner, a certified speaking professional, and a working genius facilitator, plus a certified reinvention coach. So she has a lot of experience to share with us. And let me just start with, the topic that brought her to us today, which was the following: surviving and thriving through the current level of global disruption. And I have to tell you, it couldn't come at a better time. Not being political, today is 1 week since the re-election of Donald Trump as our company's president. And so I know there's a lot of people on edge, and obviously we're living in some very interesting times in various places. So, Carolyn, what brought you to speak about this topic at this time?
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having me back. This is many, many years. We've known each other for more than a decade, which I think is kind of spectacular. And what brought me with this topic?
And we're not that old.
We're not. We're not. Well, I haven't aged a bit. I don't know about you, darling, but I haven't aged at all since we first met. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But this topic, surviving and thriving in a globally disrupted world, things feel crazy, don't they? Everybody I talk to is stressed. All the companies that I do consulting with, their people are all on edge. People are working more than 40 hours a week. They're exhausted. And I think it's the stress level because we are literally living in unprecedented times. There are fires happening in New York and New Jersey because it's so dry. It's been 80 degrees in New York and New Jersey. I live in Colorado, as you mentioned. We just had the first week of November of 2024, the 11th largest snowstorm Colorado has ever been hit with. So things are getting disrupted. That's just climate. Talk about AI. I mean, you've got a new AI technology coming out literally every day. You hear about a new one. I mean, the disruptions are happening faster and faster. So 2 years ago, I got introduced to the Reinvention Academy. And you can look it up. It was founded by a Coca-Cola um, um, sponsored professor, and there are only like 2 of them in the world or something every year. She is one of the smartest people I've ever met. Her name is Dr. Nadia Zhendembayeva. She is from Kazakhstan. I heard her speak at a conference that I was speaking at, and it was the smartest content that I had ever heard about why the levels of disruption are happening and then how to deal with them. And I thought, I need to know this woman. I need to learn from her because all of the CEO groups that I speak for and all of the companies I work with, the biggest challenge everybody is saying is things are moving so fast. How do I deal with it? So I thought, how can I be as useful and as valuable as I can is to learn this information from this woman. And that's how I became a certified reinvention practitioner. I am a CRP, letters after my name that nobody knows what it is, but I know.
That's great. You know, it's interesting. You mentioned, as did I, that you traveled the world speaking at conventions. I've noticed in the months leading up, especially from this past June to this election, that a lot of people decided to wait on the sidelines to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And pretty much what I expected to happen, I'm now seeing it. People are like, well, now I know what to expect, so I know what I'm going to do next. And other people are, I'm moving.
Yeah, we're going to actually see how many people actually move. But yeah, a lot of people are saying they're going to move. Sure. Oh, I did an interview with a woman who is in Mexico, and she's created this whole community of baby boomer aged people who want to live in an expat community in Mexico. So there's lots of that happening. It won't be me, but you know.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a multitude of reactions and
Yes.
justifications for those reactions as we move forward. But what I was really interested in, as you travel the world, I know you were recently in South Africa.
I was in South Africa for a month this year. And the fascinating thing, I actually keynoted a conference there and then spoke with some of the global reinvention practitioners that are based in Cape Town in South Africa. I am playing literally right now with some of the smartest people on the planet. It is so much fun, but I'm hearing from them. They all reached out last week after the election and said, Carolyn, now we're scared because they were not before, because their economy is actually doing better. They had an election with 16 different parties and they figured it out. So it's amazing, but they're really worried.
That's what I wanted to know. What are you hearing? What were you hearing from people as you travel the globe leading up to this? Because I think their reactions and knowing what their reactions are can somehow help and console our CEOs here in the United States.
Okay, I am not an economist. I am not an historian. I am not a political expert, and I am not an AI expert. What am I doing here then? Let me but coming from that, because I don't want to claim expertise I don't have. But what I am great at is reading people, reading the room, reading the environment. What I'm hearing is that people are concerned, very concerned about the environment and very concerned about the role of women on the planet right now, given what happened last week. And this is not personal opinion, because I don't give personal opinions unless I'm being paid a lot, which I'm not to be here. But I'm hearing that people are very worried about the women of the planet, and they're also concerned about the geopolitical wars that are happening, and if how we're moving forward and the cabinet that is created moving forward, how they will handle things for the other part of the globe. Look, we in the US, as you know, have the top economy in the world. The next four economies, right? We talked about this.
Yes.
The next four economies make up less than the US economy. You and I talked about that, Steve. You told me this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
if that's the case, our economy, the rest of the world is definitely based on what actions we take. And that's the disruption that we're living in now, because we don't know what's going to happen. If the election had gone the other way and Kamala Harris had won, we would have had more of an idea, I believe, and a plan going forward. And other countries could have based their next 4-year actions on what they thought was going to happen. Now nobody knows.
Right.
Talk about disruption.
Yes. I think they're going to be dealing with way more disruption than we are, because we kind of have experience and we can go by, all right, what are the immediate actions that are being taken? Who's being placed in this role and that role, et cetera. Certainly, it's going to be very interesting times going forward over the next 2 years, 4 years, and then beyond.
So let's talk about how interesting it's going to get. How do we then, as CEOs, for those of you who are listening, how do you guys deal with the disruption that's coming? First thing is understand that change and disruption is biologically triggering. So anytime you hear something on the news or something from the CEO, when you bring something to your team, they are going to have a biological reaction. It's actually a burst of adrenaline. And what happens is that goes into every human being. We can't help ourselves from having a biological reaction. It just happens. It's like, for those of you who don't do public speaking, when you're asked to public speak, you go on stage, you start to sweat, your mouth gets dry, and you can't think. It's because all of the blood has left your brain and moved to your extremities. It takes 90 seconds. We're triggered for 90 seconds before the blood starts heading back to your organs and back to your brain. So the first thing I want to invite every CEO who's listening to this is, when you hear something that's disruptive or changing or something, please stop and take a really deep breath and give yourself the 90 seconds.
And the other thing which you said, but maybe people didn't hear, is something I learned from one of our speakers 20 years ago, a Hall of Fame speaker, Pat Murray. There are no small acts, actions, or words if you're the CEO.
Right.
People will remember what you said and what you did and how you did it long after you've totally forgotten about it and discounted what effect it may have had on anyone. So, yes, how you, as the business owner, CEO, leader of your company, react from this point forward is going to have tremendous impact, more so than ever in history, because of another reason. And this was something you talked about today. We have gone in less than 40 years from a 75-year business cycle to what is now a 5-year business cycle, soon to be probably a 6-month business cycle, meaning you were able 40 years ago to reinvent your business every 75 years and survive.
Right.
But now it's 5 years and ticking downward every year because of technology, because of AI, because of developing nations, more competitors, more challenges all over.
Yeah.
What would be your best advice to business owners on that?
Get a team of really smart people, internal and maybe some external, maybe some of your customers, maybe your clients, maybe your advisors, maybe your advisory team, maybe your lawyer and your financial people and everybody, and get them in a room and do an exercise called "What Could Kill This Company?" The Kill Your Company exercise is literally, imagine that we are going to be put out of business in 5 years, because it might happen. If you do this exercise, though, you'll be prepared for what might come. And it's such a fun exercise, because then when things do come, so you do this exercise where you look at everything that could possibly kill your business and which things would you react to and which things would you not react to, and then how would you react to them. Right? This can be like a 3-4 hour exercise. I'm happy to come do it with you. It's a really fascinating work, because what it does then is, when things come and you're triggered and these real things show up in real life, you already know how you're going to respond. Most of us are reacting to the disruption and the level of change and the speed of change, where the world is changing. What if you were actually proactive about it? And that's what this whole program that I did today with your CEO groups that I'm doing this week with you guys is to make happen.
Thank you for bringing up that word, proactive.
You're welcome.
Because I was gonna touch upon that, and the way I was going to touch upon it is this: there's an extremely, really well-respected head of a hospital system here. And one of the things I think that was most impactful, I've heard him speak a number of times, that he ever said was, every morning I get up and see how I can disrupt myself before someone else does it for me. And it just seems to me, based upon the projection of where we are and where we're going with our business cycle, this is what you have to do.
That's right.
And what a concept. I've heard this I don't know how many times, but what a concept. Ask your customers what they would like, what they expect from you, what they will need from you. Maybe you'll find out they've been working to replace you
That's right.
and make you useless.
Do a lunch. Seriously, this is so lovely and simple. And by the way, if your customers are global, then do a Zoom call with them and send them chocolate afterwards. Seriously, people remember when you send them a box of chocolate or a box of wine or a box of olive oil, right? I mean, send them something special, but ask your customers. So my favorite question is, if you had a magic wand and could have my company do, within the realm of what we do, the best we could for you, what would it look like? And then just let them talk, because you might be providing things that people no longer need. One of the points that I make in this program that we've been doing is reinvention is not stop everything you're doing and shift to something totally different. The concept of reinvention is really examining what is working. And it's biomimicry, right? We're gonna mimic the biome, the biology of the planet. What flowers do is they grow, and what's no longer necessary falls off, and then new things come in their place. New leaves come in their place. New things. So what can you do? What are you doing that's working? And you keep that. And you start peeling away little pieces of what no longer works, so that you have resources, time, space, money, people to actually replace that with something that might be more viable in the future. And you need to look at, where are you getting your information? If you're not reading, I get a magazine because my dad used to get it, and it's so weird. When he passed away and we changed his address, I get Metal Roofing magazine. What? I literally look through it when I've tried to cancel it 10 times. It won't cancel because it's a subscription that my dad had. But I look through it and I read something about what they're doing with new metals. And I go, that's interesting, because it's never been done before. Who created that? Why did it come up? So read something beyond. If you've never read a fashion magazine, read a fashion magazine. What do farm to table restaurants, fashion, and technology have in common?
Well, you would know, because you were a model in the fashion industry. You have a fashion company. You're dealing with various types of technology.
What farm to table restaurants, fashion, and technology have in common is they've always had to reinvent every 3 to 6 months. Farm to table restaurants can only use the ingredients that are being grown that season. Fashion has to change every spring, summer, winter, fall. You've got new colors, new styles, new everything. And then technology, obviously, is one of those industries that literally has to make themselves obsolete. So if those three things have that, what are you doing that will make you obsolete so that you can invent around that?
That's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept. And it sort of leads to this statement I'm going to make. It would behoove you to take a look at those industries and see, what do they do to survive? Because it's constantly forced to change and get rid of the old.
Always.
And embrace the new.
Yep.
And let's face it, as humans, we love to talk about change, but we don't embrace it. There's a very small portion of the population that actually embraces change.
Well, wait, but if you're a parent, if you are a parent of, let's say, small kids, think about how different your kids are now than they were in 2022. If you're a parent of teenagers and your kid's just gone from being 12 years old to 14 years old, you want to talk about an epic jump and change. You've dealt with it. You've been fine with it. So we're okay with it when it seems, quote, normal. This is normal, kids. We are living now in normal. This level of disruption,
Mhm.
this intense disruption, literally every other week, you're going to have a huge disruption that happens in your world, either because of climate or customer change or technology. Something is going to happen that's going to disrupt your business, but we can deal with it because it's who we are as humans.
Right. That's a good point. So you gave our people today lots of tools to use and a different perspective on disruption and change and stimulating change instead of waiting for it to happen to you. Um, what are some of the other tools that you see as being uh, most useful for business owners at the present time?
One of the things that I believe got diminished during COVID is people's ability to communicate and connect. I think that it's a struggle for people now. I mean, and look, there are some people that are just extroverts and galvanizers and inventors and want to be out there disrupting the world and playing and doing all of those fun things. Fun for me. There are other people, like I just spoke at a national conference for accountants. These are not people who want to go talk to their clients. They want to do the work. They want their clients to do what they ask them to do, which I found out from accountants aren't doing. Y'all as CEOs need to really appreciate your accountant, but the accountants really need to communicate better. So I am a certified exactly what to say guide. I recommend getting the book Exactly What to Say. It contains 32 phrases that when you use them, it opens people up to communicating with you. It keeps it really simple. I have a program that I do called The Art of Mastering Negotiation. Negotiation, it scares people, right? But negotiation is helping people get what they want so you get what you want. So it is all about now communication and being really clear in who you are now, because if who you are now is who you were in 2019, who you might be in 2027 is unemployed.
Mhm. That's a great point. Really great point. Excuse me. Because I see the stress it's putting on people.
You work with business leaders all the time. Look at the stress they're under.
Yeah. And I also see that, you know, it would be great if they could feel comfortable that what they're doing, they can continue to do without disruption for a longer period of time because they don't have the answers readily available to them. And that goes back to something you said earlier. Meet with all your advisors. Ask them what their other clients are doing, which is kind of similar to what we do on a monthly basis with our groups at Compel. Various industries, you can, if you're a distributor, you can learn from the manufacturer, from the retailer, from the service organization, the professional organization, what they're doing, differently today than they did years ago.
Business is now a team sport. If you're going this alone, this is not an ad for Compel, but this is an advocation for a Compel group. If you are going this alone and trying to figure it out by yourself, how to run your business, what next steps should you take, how to create a culture that actually supports you, how to how to amplify the mindset, the skill set, and this tool set of your people and your business, and you're trying to do that by yourself, it's not going to work. You need an advisory board. You need a team of people around you. I can't live without my mastermind group, which is what I have now. You need a team of people around you to help you see your blind spots, because no matter how brilliant you are, you have blind spots, because every single human does.
That is so true, and we get so focused on what we're doing. It's almost like the racehorse that has to have blinders so they stay on course. We do that ourselves, and if we don't go and have someone tell us or call us out on our garbage,
Yeah.
how do we know?
You won't notice that they move the track. Have you
Right.
all noticed that the tracks are moving everywhere? The tracks are moving. We think we're going one direction, and then all of a sudden, oops, I'm sorry, we're not going that direction
Yeah.
anymore. And if you've got the blinders on, you're going to fall off the cliff. Don't do that to yourself. Get the help. Invest the time in getting the help in the advisors and the support that you need to grow your business in this disrupted environment, because I guarantee you your business is not going to look in 2 years like it looks now with the level of tech. Let's just take AI and technology. It's gonna be different. And my favorite speaker on AI said, here are 3 things that AI is going to be fabulous for. AI should take care of any job that is dull, dangerous, or dirty. Those are the 3 jobs that AI and the robots should take over for you. So I want to invite you to take a look at your business right now and go, what is dull? What is dirty and what is dangerous, and how do I replace that with machines and then use the people to develop your relationships?
Right. It doesn't bode well for assembly line factory workers
Nope.
because it's a repetitive action or
Dull.
task that can be done over and over again by some non-human. And there are tons and tons of dirty jobs. Who the hell wants to do those going forward? You know, and obviously nobody wants to put their life at risk when they
Right.
don't have to. So that makes perfect sense. Another thing we discussed was, the role of coders and the role of programmers, which, I have members who we're always looking for, we're always hiring. That's going to change dramatically.
You can, right now, I, knowing nothing about technology, very little, could go and say, can you write a code for me that when somebody goes to my website, they get this delivered, then this delivered, then this delivered, and it gets done.
Mhm.
And I'm somebody who knows nothing about coding. I know nothing about cooking either. So if you guys are good cooks, send
Send in
somebody.
the recipe.
No, don't send me the recipe. Send me cooked food, because the recipe isn't going to help. But it's seriously though, like coders, that's one of those jobs that AI is going to get really great at. So find out, what is AI going to get great at and get better at something different.
Good point. Now, talking about tools and tools that business owners and CEOs could use, I mentioned in your biography that you are a working genius facilitator.
I am certified in Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius.
Right. And many people will say, Patrick Lencioni, where do I know that name from? Well, he is a world-renowned published author on various business topics.
Yep.
And so why don't you explain a little bit about Working Genius, because my groups embraced Working Genius. We are embracing Working Genius to the point where all of our new members have to take it.
Good.
And the few who didn't take it from when you were with us almost 2 years ago to the day are now being, encouraged to, let's take it, because we're going to, recognize that and help you, because we don't all have the same talents, and help you to see how you can use it. So why Patrick Lencioni and why Working Genius?
Working Genius assessment is the simplest and most valuable assessment that I've ever come across. Okay. We've done DISC, right? We've all done DISC. We've all done Strength Finders. We've all done the Enneagram. We've all done all of these different assessments. The Working Genius assessment, it has 6 categories. They are broken down into the genius of wonder, invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, and tenacity. Every human is designed. We believe that this is how the brain is designed, which is why I love it. 2 of them are going to be your geniuses, which means that when you're working in your genius, I'll give you a really good example. My geniuses are, and you can tell from who I am, invention and galvanizing. So when I'm thinking about new ideas, or I'm with a group of people to get them to move to take on one of these new ideas, I get energy from that. So when you're working in your genius, you get energy from it. There are two of them that are going to be your competencies, meaning you're probably very good at it, but they don't bring you energy. Then there are going to be two that are going to be your frustrations, meaning when you have to do them, it drains the energy out of your body. You can do them. Every job is a 6-letter job, meaning every job you have to wonder about, why am I doing this? You have to invent a solution. You have to discern to see if the solution makes sense. You have to galvanize the people around the idea. You have to enable each individual person to get that work done. And you have to have a list of the tasks that actually have to get done, and somebody's got to get it to the finish line. So every job, if you work for yourself, then you have to do all 6, but there are going to be 2 of them that bring you joy and energy. And the smarter part is looking at where your frustration lies and hire someone with the geniuses. The Working Genius Assessment costs $25 to take, whether you're me or whether you're anybody. As a certified facilitator, it costs what it costs. It's $25. Where for $25 can you learn what help you need in your business? So I highly recommend the Working Genius Assessment. When I go in with a company and I work with the executive team, the first thing I have them do to be resilient and to work together is I have everybody take the Working Genius Assessment so that I know if there are any gaps in the group and what geniuses might be missing. And then we look at who can you lean on to get the help and support when you're in a different part of the project, because there are 3 parts of every project. There's the ideation, activation, and implementation. The geniuses correlate to those parts of working on a project. I know this sounds like a lot. There is a Working Genius podcast. Go on wherever you got this podcast, look up Working Genius, and you can listen to Patrick Lencioni and his team talk about this. But I find it one of the most amazing tools that when I leave an organization, if I go in and do a strategic planning day, and by the way, if you're planning for all of 2025, you can just throw that plan right out the window. I say you plan for 3 months and think about 6 months to 9 months out, because I know we're coming into January and everybody's doing, their financial plan. If your financial plan, by the way, is to take last year's and add 5% and go, okay, there's our budget, you're in deep trouble. That's not how the world works anymore. So if you're doing a strategic planning with your team, maybe do the Working Genius, have everybody talk about what their genius is, and then what everybody sees coming for the future, because none of our crystal balls are working, y'all. They're all busted.
That's a true statement. No one can predict the future, and a lot of people have been trying for a long time. So you are extremely busy. What do you do to sharpen the saw? What do you do to relax and recharge?
2 different questions. Relaxing, recharging. I do hot yoga. I do it 2, sometimes 3 times a week. I try to work out every day. When I'm on a plane all day, that's harder. But I try to work out either a spin class. I'm also externally motivated, right? You've got to know about yourself. I know people who can go down to their basement and work out for an hour and feel great about it. When I'm alone in my basement, not a happy place. So even though it's a pretty basement. So I'll take a class. I'll take a spin class. I'll do a hot yoga class, or I'll do a Zumba class, because it's the mind-body connection. So I have to learn new steps, right? And I'm bad at it, and I'm okay with that. So I believe that because we're biological first as human beings, I need to do something to move my body. Then I find somebody that I know in one of the realms that I play in, like my certified reinvention people all over the world, and find something that they're doing that's interesting and engage with them. Either read a post of theirs on LinkedIn, or find one of them and just reach out on WhatsApp and say, hey, tell me what's happening in South Africa right now. I heard something, give me a call. I have a friend who works in the mining industry in South Africa. Tell me what's happening with that, and how is AI and the robots taking over that kind of work, right? And then I will binge a Netflix series. There's a new one that just came out called Nobody Wants This. It was lovely. So I am perfectly happy to take a couple of hours, maybe even a whole weekend, and binge a Netflix series.
Great. No, I binge too, because
We're not talking about chocolate chip cookies.
No, no, no.
Okay. Because I binge those too, but that's a different conversation.
No, no. I'm
No.
the only thing I really watch on TV is either sports or news,
Mhm.
and I try not to watch too much news.
I just learned something about the brain. I have a friend who's a neuroscientist. There are 15 minutes when you first wake up in the morning where your brain is most susceptible to what it hears and what it sees. I have actually stopped looking at my phone for the first 15 minutes. It is hard. I am an addict, like most people, to my phone. So I just want to pick it up and start looking at the videos from last night and reading, Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts. Stop it. Stop it. And give yourself that first 15 minutes to get up, take some deep breaths, drink a whole bunch of water to clean out your system. And after 15 minutes, and you can, if you want to do positive affirmations or listen to a nice meditation, a guided happiness meditation, you can do that. But please don't watch the news for the first 15 minutes. If you wake up at 6, please don't turn on the news until 6:15, please. Because don't do that to your brain. Don't hurt yourself.
Great advice. Great advice to live by. Well, Carolyn, I can't really wait. We're going to try and get you back sooner than 2 years because every time you come back with something extraordinary, whether it was Working Genius or now about disruption. And as I said, I think this is such an important issue. We may even bring you back to do like a follow-up with our members on this to see how they're managing disruption, what they're doing to lessen its impact on their daily lives. So, Carolyn, you've been great with us. Thank you so much. You're one of our favorite people, and we look forward to seeing you again.
It's beautiful when the feeling is mutual. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you so much.